Happy Wednesday, everybody. Thank you so much for downloading or streaming the Be Our Guest podcast. Today, Pam and Ricky join me for your listener questions because that's what we do in the midweek. And we get some great questions today about rope drop procedures at the Magic Kingdom and how those may change here over the next few months because a listener is planning a trip here in actually 2026 coming over from the UK. And we talk about how it goes right now and how it might change in the future. Also, one of our friends, Kevin, a great chiropractor here in St. Louis, asks us our thoughts on the coaster, the Monsters, Inc. coaster coming to Hollywood Studios. We have a great discussion on that. And a listener writes in with a great email, not necessarily a question, about a trip she took with her mother down to Coronado Springs and went all around Walt Disney World on the spur of the moment and how those trips are so special and how we should all consider taking a trip like that with our loved ones. It was a great email, and I think you're going to really enjoy that on today's show. Don't forget, our podcast is always brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan your next Disney adventure for no additional cost to you. It supports the show, and you get first-class service every time. It's a win-win-win. So check out all the details today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. That one extra click supports everything we do throughout the year. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you so very much to our Patreon supporters. You guys make the show possible. So a huge thank you to each and every one of you. You can support us as well, just $5 a month. And for that support, you get a bonus show called Mike in the Midwest. Come over this week. We'd sure love to have you. Patreon.com/beourguestpodcast.
Ready to take a trip to the world? You found the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. This is where your memories come front and center on our podcast stage.
Welcome to episode 2663 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from beourguestpodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Wednesday to you. Hope you're having a great week as we continue here through March. And get ready for opening day tomorrow here in the United States for baseball season in the middle of March Madness with basketball. So if you're a sports fan, great time to be enjoying that. But if you're a Disney fan, great time to be thinking about the theme parks. If you're a cruise fan, great time to be thinking about those ships. The podcast cruise, I believe, is right about 100 days from now. I'm getting ready to sail the Disney Magic July 6th. Not that I'm counting that down. Scott and I just keep talking about it all the time. So good time to we're going to answer some listener questions about Disney trips. And Friday, we're going to be talking about Walt Disney World After Dark. Some tips for enjoying the parks in that transitional period from when the sun goes down and what you got to think about to get the most out of the parks in that magical time when the lights come on and the sun goes down. But today, tackling those listener questions, the OG crew, Ricky's joining us from a DisneyWorldAfterAll.com and the Mouse for Less. I forgot my Karnak, but Ricky, I got to get you introduced. What's going on? Let me get my thing ready here. Go ahead. What's up? I totally forgot.
Howdy. It's everything is good. And getting ready to answer some questions. So that part will be nice.
That is
I'm excited.
And you know what? Our good friend Len told me that I do this totally wrong. Like the old bit from Johnny Carson, which unless you're watching the video, it really doesn't matter because you don't see it. But right. I blow into the envelope and look, the whole visual thing's totally off on the timing, which I totally know now that he said that I do it wrong. But here I'm going to try to fix that. When he told me that, I didn't sleep that night because I'm like, I totally screwed it up all these times. I've been doing it totally wrong. Okay, so pretend I got the big, turban on here. So here we go. Okay, so I got the this fake envelope. It's actually a card. But here we go. So let's see. So I got the envelope putting up on my head here. Okay, I'm thinking about what it says in here. It says, Captain Jack's. Remember, this is from 2014. Okay. This just context. Captain Jack's, The Odyssey, Bonfamille's Cafe, and Tony's Town Square Restaurant.
I was going to say forgotten restaurants, but Pam, do you have a guess?
It'll just be like things that aren't there anymore.
but Tony's is, so that was, that's why I was like,
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I got to open it.
Now you got to open it,
Okay, so I'm doing it right for Len. Len got me here so I can sleep tonight. Where should I eat at Walt Disney World when I'm not hungry?
Okay, yeah,
Yes,
that also
okay.
works. Although I will say, since 2014, Tony's Town Square has gotten good. I'm not lying. I had a fantastic meal there recently, and I am now singing the praises to Tony's Town Square, which I would not have in 2014 for sure. So don't sleep on Tony's now. Actually, do sleep on it, because then it allows me to be able to get a reservation and actually go there. So keep sleeping on it. It's fine. Don't worry
Actually,
about it. I like the giant mozzarella stick. It's all good.
Yeah, I'm not against Tony's either. I think Tony's isn't a place you're going to write home about, but I think it does its.
Oh, I wrote a whole blog article about it. So,
yeah, but it could be more, right? I mean, it's got because of its. I think it's because of its location. I think it could be a superstar. Where I think it's in sports terms, it's a solid starter. Like it's a reliable player. Like it's there to get some decent food.
I think at this point, yes, it is
fine.
reliable. I think back in 2014, it was a bench player.
It's an interesting place, but I mean, like it's in Town Square. Every person walks past it multiple times during their Walt Disney World vacation. That location, to me, though, should be like top 5 dining destination
I
on
agree
property.
with you. Yeah, especially with the view of the like the parade in the afternoon. You've got a great view of the parade if you ate a late. But the time that you have to eat is such an odd time, because obviously it's 3:00. So that's. For some people, that's either a really, really late lunch or a really super early dinner. So I get why that wouldn't appeal to a lot of people, but
almost dinner time for this crowd right here. So anyway, we also have Pam Forster. I haven't even got her introduced here. She got to jump in. I mean, we've been talking in the pre-show a little Subway sandwiches. We're talking about the glory days back in the day and how the
let me just say,
fallen.
Tony has some work to do if he wants it to be a premier dining destination.
I mean, I'll give you that too. Yes.
That's it. Oh my gosh, we got great analogies. Pam Forster, she's calling her the magic for less travel here on a Wednesday, taking care of listener questions. Pam Forster, what's going in the midweek?
We got that little taste of spring, and now it just makes me angry for more. I'm not like, oh, that was great. I'm like, why isn't it like this now? So
agreed.
Yes. And our friend Jason says the Kirk Cousins of Walt Disney World Restaurants, Magic Kingdom Eateries is Tony's. But, Tony's on forgot the big bonus for, we wish. It's reliable, kind of moves around. It's there. But it could, it gets the job done. It doesn't. It gets the job done. Yeah, it gets the job done. Could be more. Yeah. It's okay. All right. So Andrew's got a question. Our good friend Andrew's been with us since 2008. Big friend of the show's taking care of our wiki page, all that from back in the day. Andrew asks, would you guys consider adding a day at Knott's Berry Farm to a Disneyland vacation? Which I think is super interesting because, and I'm rocking my Disneyland hoodie today. This is one of my favorite hoodies. There's something about how they made this hoodie, like out of the material. And you see them all the time at Disneyland, these yellow hoodies. And they actually have them at Walt Disney World too that say Walt Disney World. This thing is the most comfortable hoodie ever. So if you ever see these, I'm just telling you, check them out. It's like the thickness of it. It's just the right thickness. Just saying. There's your fashion advice today from a dude who is the most unfashionable guy in the world. But I love something about this hoodie, man. It's like not too heavy, not too light, just right down the middle. But anyway, what was his question? Andrew says about Knott's Berry Farm. I've driven past this, obviously when I drive whatever road that is, the highway. There's so many highways when you're in the back of an Uber. And, if you're from the Midwest, you're just kind of white knuckling it sometimes with your Uber driver. So you're just like, oh my God, there's a bunch of stuff over there. Yeah, okay, let's go. And you're excited. But I've seen it and, I've never stopped there because, again, I'm in an Uber and I'm just excited to get to Disneyland, get on property and do my thing at Disneyland. But I have read that they have lots of good festivals at Knott's Berry Farm and especially lots of good food at Knott's Berry Farm. So if I rented a car, and we did that first trip when I was there for 7 days, we went up to the Dodgers game and we went to Santa Monica Pier and, Valerie had to see Rodeo Drive, which I wanted to get out of there as fast as I could. Thought they're going to like, dude, you're a fraud. Get out of here. We're going to arrest you. But that'd have been a time that I might have explored it. I mean, if I had a car in a week, I probably might check it out if a festival's going on. Pam, you said you've been there. What was your vibe?
I have. It's been a while, but I have been there. And I think it's like maybe your typical amusement park to some degree. I mean, it's very clean. It's very pretty. They do have some good food. And I also feel like there is so much to see at Disneyland that I probably wouldn't make it a priority unless I had a lot of time. That's just, sort of that. But if you're a big coaster fan and you're looking for like a thrill, some thrill things, you'll be able to get your thrill on there for sure. But yeah, that's just how I feel about it.
So Ricky,
But I might be a little biased.
Oh, well, yeah. And I mean, Ricky, you said it's more akin to like and it is, and Andrew followed up, it is owned by Six Flags now with that Cedar Fair merger. But so it's more akin to like that Six Flags, that kind of amusement park, thrill ride kind of experience more than like the Disney experience where you're looking for kind of more of a family experience.
Absolutely. I mean, it is a different kind of theme park experience for sure, but it's still, I would go. I haven't been, just because usually I'm headed straight to Disneyland, but I would, if I took a long trip out to California, like I had planned on many years ago, before that got canceled, I would consider adding a Knott's Berry Farms trip into that mix. As well as Universal Studios Hollywood, I would absolutely add that in there too. So I think that it's a good option, especially if you are just in general a theme park fan. If you are not, like I am a general theme park fan overall. Like, yes, of course Disney is my home park and I love it the most out of everything, but I'm still a fan of theme parks overall. So I would absolutely want to see Knott's Berry Farm and see what it was like. And I've heard amazing things about the food. And I'm not sure about boysenberry though. I'm not the biggest. I don't know how much I really want to try that, but I know that they do a lot of good menu items with that. So
well, they used to have like the jams in your local like grocery stores and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I mean,
they do.
I don't
it's
know
just a berry jam, Ricky. It's nothing to be afraid of.
I don't know. It I always remember my mom when we were kids. She would always get a Rudy Tooty Fresh and Fruity at IHOP, and they had a boysenberry syrup. I'm almost certain they had a boysenberry syrup, and she would always get it. So yeah, I don't know why, but
I'm so old. I used to go to IHOP when it was the big triangle roof.
Oh yeah, for sure. Me too.
Yeah, the one up at Lindbergh and New Florissant Road by the
That's
police
the one I
station.
would go to, and
Yeah, right
she would
by the
always
police
get the Rudy
station.
Tooty Fresh and
Yeah.
Fruity with the boysenberry. Yeah, yeah.
And that was those are the days. Anyway,
I know.
those are for all of our Florissant, Missouri listeners back in the day. All right, Andrew, so glad to have you here. Thanks for a great question. All right, Cindy's got a question. She's up in Toronto, Canada. Shout out to her daughter as well, who was a guest speaker on our show, kind of stole the show when she was on a few months ago. Hey, Mike and team, I have a question regarding the dining packages associated with Fantasmic. What locations cater to this event? Of those, which do you recommend? Are they part of the Disney dining plan? Thanks for building community and making it a safe space to ask questions. Sincerely, Cindy V. So, Ricky, what are the locations for the Fantasmic dining packages? I know Mama Melrose is and was one.
It was, and I'm looking it up now, actually.
But that's not going to be for much longer. I've never done a Fantasmic dining package.
Okay, so it's 50s Primetime, Hollywood and Vine, Mama Melrose, Sci-Fi Dine-In, and Hollywood Brown Derby. Those are the options. There are different prices depending on the different restaurants that you go to, and depending, like, with Hollywood and Vine, you can do it for breakfast. So that's kind of a nice option if you're looking for, I would say cheaper, but that's not the cheapest option. Go figure. So actually the cheapest option it looks like is Sci-Fi. Yeah, interesting. Although it's probably very hard to get, I would imagine, to get the Sci-Fi.
I wouldn't know. They don't let me in. I haven't been in that.
I know. I don't ever get in there either. So it's surprising that they actually have a dining package for Fantasmic for there. But yes, I believe you can use a Disney dining plan for it. You just have to, book it with that. And you do have to make sure you book the Fantasmic dining package. They have that option online, or when you're booking, or, if you're calling, you just have to ask for the Fantasmic dining package, because you can't just book a, 50s Primetime reservation and say, well, wait, I want to do the Fantasmic dining package, because it's a two different. Yeah.
It actually shows it on the app, I think.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. You can, it has like it's its own designated reservation spot on the app. You just have to look for it, and it says Fantasmic dining package. Right. So they do the same thing with the Eat to the Beat, or the concert series, whatever concert series it is at Epcot too. So
how about
that's nice.
How about the other night when that concert was going on? I think it was Herman's Hermits, and
Peter Newton from Herman's Hermits.
Hey, guess what? France is on fire.
Hey, Look,
Dude,
fire.
what was up with that? And I gotta give him credit, man. Those pictures that first started coming out, it looked like Epcot was gonna burn down. And I mean, it was out like in 15 minutes. I was like, this isn't good. And then all of a sudden, like, nothing to see
And
here.
it's
Everything's under control. I'm like, kudos to the fire folks, man. They got that thing. I mean, I was like, holy smokes. Like, I mean, I was worried for a few minutes because I mean, that was thick black smoke. And Kim
It
said,
was.
there's a break
was.
area back there. I was like, that's not good. And it was like, I was like, oh my gosh, like Epcot's gonna be closed for, me, because I'm just like, oh my gosh, they're gonna close Epcot for a week or something. And I
Nope.
mean, it was like an hour later, like, it's all good. Come right
worry.
Ratatouille. I don't think it shut down Ratatouille, but for like an hour, I was like, holy smoke, that was fast. I couldn't believe it. That was unbelievable. I don't know what happened. I mean, Kim said there was like a break area back there, and people
I think it was a
smoked.
cooler that caught on fire.
Oh, whatever.
my
That's
understanding.
just- whoever did it, man, they need to, hopefully they get docked. That was just nuts. Okay, by the way, I gotta ask you this, because I saw this in the news, and I think Disney's gonna is gonna see this in the news. They're gonna take over. Just real quick, did you see that you can now get a loan for your DoorDash? You can break your DoorDash order into 4 monthly install.
What?
Four, yeah. You didn't see that in the news
No.
this week? Yes. So DoorDash has partnered with this Australian loan company to where, and I am not kidding. This is honest to God truth. You can just Google it. That there's they've gone to this finance company where you can now break your DoorDash order into 4 installments, so you don't have to pay it all at once. So you can finance your DoorDash payment. So how long before Disney says, would you like to take your Lightning Lane purchase and break this down into 4 monthly payments? No, they won't do that. But I just saw that. I mean, if you're door dashing, like, can you imagine that? I saw that and I just couldn't believe it. Anyway,
No,
nothing
just
here nor
all-
there, but just
All
drove- it was
kinds of
crazy.
no on that. No.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
I
All right.
agree.
I was just like, yeah, but I mean, I couldn't believe it. All right.
What's
Matt,
going on in your life?
Matt says question, and yeah, we need the question though.
Yeah.
That's how this works. Oh wait, maybe it's coming. Oh,
Nope,
maybe not.
that's-
Okay,
that's not
well,
it.
no, that's not it either. Okay, well, let's get to Holly here in the inbox. She actually put text, but Matt will come back. See, hey guys, we love your podcast. Thanks for all of your top tips. We're traveling to Disney World from Liverpool in the UK in August of 2026. Planning very early, I know, but these trips from the UK are expensive. We'll be staying for 3 weeks at Port Orleans French Quarter. We have a plan of action for early entry during our last trip, but I have seen information suggesting the Magic Kingdom will no longer be holding guests at the hub, but you'll be able to go into the lands. Would this change your approach to how to best maximize that early time? Also, just wondering in general what your ultimate early entry strategy would be at the Magic Kingdom. Thank you. Only 495 days to wait for our trip. Holly. See, I like the way Holly thinks here, right? Her trip is in August of 2026, and she's literally concerned with maybe 200 yards of distance.
I know, and it may change 8 times.
That was exactly what I was
between now and
thinking.
then.
I saw
Yeah,
this
it's
and I'm like,
Something that just
I
popped
love
up
this.
recently.
I know, it could change it. You're exactly right. It could change 8 times between now and August of 2026. But
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's why we have a podcast, right? And that's why we're all just crazy Disney fans, because this is what gets us
For
to
sure.
this is what gets us to August of 2026 is thinking about all the minute
Yeah.
details and all this stuff. But literally, if the difference between the hub and like being held at the launching pad is like 200 yards. But I mean, it's fun to think about. So, Ricky, how would that change your strategy of like everybody's kind of stuck on Main Street or the hub or being put into the lands and being roped off there? What do you think?
Well, first of all, what's rope drop? Second of all, because I
Oh,
I
that's
don't see it.
That's true. Pretend like you
yeah.
you've simulated.
Pretend
on
like I get
computer
up
or
in the
something.
morning.
Yes.
It's fine.
You've seen pictures.
The only thing that it might do is may disperse the crowds a little bit more, but it's only Tomorrowland that's opening, right? So as of right now. So I mean the crowds are they're going to Tomorrowland, or I guess stay on Main Street to wait out that until the other lands open. So I mean they're not actually opening the attractions early. They're just letting you in a little bit early so you can get, I guess, a little closer. I mean, you might, it might shave off maybe 5-10 minutes of your trip. I'm not entirely sure of your day, but I mean, those 5-10 minutes are definitely important. So I mean, if you're gonna go anytime that they have the Tomorrowland, option available to you, I mean, and you want to ride Space Mountain or Tron or something in Tomorrowland, I mean, sure, head on over there. Go get, if you're going to be there for early, rope drop anyway, get there maybe, extra 15 minutes early, 20 minutes early, and head that direction. That's what I'd say. So,
I mean, my best tip for rope drop, and I do rope drop, right? It's just the if you're going to go, you got to go all in, is what I say.
Yes.
Because the difference between like being at the back of the rope drop crowd or the front of the rope drop crowd is significant. And you're already going to be up early. You're already going to be sacrificing sleep in the morning. So just bite the bullet and, give up that extra 30 minutes of sleep and be in the front of the rope droppers. So whatever land you choose, say Adventureland, they're going to let you go that way in 20, whatever it is, or if they're going to let you go to Fantasyland and hold you right before Fantasyland or Tomorrowland, what have you, just be in front of that group so that you can be in the front of the wave. Because I've always said this, if you're in the front of the wave at rope drop, you stay in front of the wave for like the first 2 or 3 hours, as long as you don't make a silly mistake like sit down and have a pretzel after the first attraction or something like that, because then everybody catches up with you, right? You gotta kind of, when you're doing this, when you go out the door, you want to have like a Pop-Tart or something on the bus. You want to have enough of like nutrition so that you can power through like a couple of hours to get to like 10 or 10:30. Then maybe, I say like go to Ohana or something over at, the Polynesian, and then have like a late, like brunch, and really kind of fill up. But like take advantage of that rope drop time, but be in the front of the crowd, and you're way ahead of the crowd. That's my Pam. Anything you'd add to that? That's what I say.
I just I don't know that we're going to continue to see this or not. And if it does, I don't know. You are able to get into line earlier because of that. But it wouldn't change the way I would do things. I would still do things probably about the same for that. But like Mike said, you just got to start beating the crowd. Like you just have to get there.
Because if you're in the back of the rope drop crowd, you're fighting an uphill battle even then, a little bit. But if you're in front, it's so nice. It's so nice.
It is.
All right, Katie's got a question here, and she says, we are booking an Alaska cruise for August of 26, thanks to Jocelyn over at the Magic for Less. We are having a hard time deciding if we need a veranda. Pam, is it a non-negotiable for Alaska? Price is a factor, but willing to splurge if you think it's necessary. Do I need to continue this? Okay, I will. Anything else to know about booking Alaska on DCL? Pam Forrester.
Pam already has her answer. It's already done.
She called you out.
So I will say Alaska, probably that Inside Passage is more is one of the reasons that I would get a veranda for sure. And just I will say the beauty of being able to see the landscape from your room is really impactful, especially. And you might think, oh, we can just go up on deck. You can sometimes. I will say there were a few times during our last Alaska cruise that the on deck was rainy and really cold, and it would have just been, and it was early too when we were going through certain parts and getting near the glacier. So I just feel like it is, don't want to say a non-negotiable, because more than anything else, I want you to go and see Alaska because it's worth it. But if you can possibly swing it, look at getting a veranda. There's just something about being able to see that from your room. And I will say some of my favorite photos as I look back on our Alaska photos are from our room. Just being able to sit out there and watch it go by. You're just floating, and like there's a mountain in front of you. Like it's really incredible. Alaska is just really such an incredible place.
I just have to say, my guests, and I book a lot of guests in Disney Cruise Line, when they come back from Alaska, they always say they want to do it again. I mean, almost to a person. And it surprises me, right? Because you'd think it'd be always the tropical locations, but it's always Alaska. Like,
yeah,
gotta do it
agreed.
Again.
And you know what it is? I think about this all the time. So we've done it a couple times, and I think one of it is there is something really awesome about going someplace in the summer that isn't hot as Hades.
That's true.
I mean, there just is. There just really, truly, truly is. So, but no, it's just such a great place. Just such a great place. So.
All right. We got a question from somebody that I know well, but I haven't seen in ages. But actually, I thought about him just this morning. It's Dr. Kevin McLean from Florida. Speaking of Florissant, Missouri.
Do I want to
coming
know
in
why you were thinking about Kevin?
Because I went to bend over to put on my shoes and
that
my
explains everything.
back almost went out this morning when I was getting ready to get on the treadmill. I was like, oh, it almost locked up. And Kevin he's my chiropractor that saved me back in the day when I couldn't even teach. I had to go across the hall, across from where I taught. His office was on the other side of Lindbergh there from my school. I mean, he saved me. He got me going again. He says, I'd like your opinion on the new Monsters Inc. ride concept. I actually suggested that to my wife a couple years ago. You know what? When I saw the movie, and I'm trying
Absolutely.
I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but toot toot. When I saw that, there's a couple times in movies I've said that needs to be a ride. Like as soon as I walk out of the theater, I was like, dude, they're riding on there's a track and they're hanging onto a door. Come on, that's not a roller coaster. Like I said that.
Everyone, I feel like said that. Yeah,
Dude, how's that not a ride? I've said that about a couple things I've seen in movies, but yeah. So I mean, I think it's pretty, and the ride concept looks pretty sweet too, and I think pull it off. I mean, it looks like they're doing it right. I mean, it's for sure. I mean, it's happening.
The way that they showed how those ride vehicles are gonna go up in the air and then take off is, I mean, it's bonkers, but it's amazing. Like there are, so many, like, I think there were 3 tracks on each side. And so there's like, I think 6 total is what I saw. And I'm like, oh my goodness, the engineering to pull this feat off is going to be incredible, but it's going to be so fantastic. And let's put it this way. If the takeoff is impressive to me, I can only imagine how the actual attraction is going to be. So yeah, again, I, like you, Mike, said, this should have been something that they did years ago. Actually, years ago, there was concept art and stuff that got released, and then Disney quickly took it away, and it was a big oopsie. And if you've been in the Disney community long enough, you will remember that moment. I have been in the Disney community long enough, and I remember that moment very clearly. So we thought we were getting it, it was like 2006, 2008, somewhere in that time frame. And it took another 20 years for us to be able to get this attraction that we've all been begging for. So yeah, I'm super stoked that we're fine. I mean, yes, I'm sad that we are losing the Muppet Courtyard and Muppets and everything like that, but I am so excited that I finally get to get on that door coaster that I've been dying to get on since 2003.
My wish, I was thinking about this the other night. Like, what do I wish for Walt Disney World? Like for the next, like for a new CEO to come in and focus on theme parks, like an Eisner. Like if they would just come in and say, my focus is to keep continuing to improve the theme parks, because they are building a lot of new stuff, right? They are. I mean, they're focusing on that. But if they would just say, we're going to add without taking away. Like, oh my gosh, it would be like the music to everybody's ears if they could do that some way, to add without replacing. Like instead of replacing, like just add. Just add. Right. You know what I'm saying? Or find ways just to add. That'd be amazing. Like that would be so much goodwill for everybody if there was a way to do that. I don't know if there is, but if there was, that'd be such a great thing, because if we could have Muppets and this, that'd be a win-win. And it would just spread people out more too. But back to that though, that's something I was thinking about the other night when I was sitting around. But the thing I liked about what I read in the concept art about that too was that they said that you're going to be able to see like the other trains and the other people inside the attraction and like the chaos of the whole thing. That's going to make it fun, right? I mean, you'll be hearing other people screaming and like, wow. But I mean, that's what the movie was. Like, that's the scene. They're setting the scene. Pam, I mean, what'd you think about that? That's one of the things I got excited about is that you'll see the other cars and the other trains.
Yeah. And I think every time I hear about an attraction that I feel like more guests will connect with, I'm excited. I feel like I'm so very glad that we're keeping the Muppets and they're going to be part of Rock and Roller Coaster. I think that's really cool. I think what happened to that whole Muppet Courtyard thing is that there was one attraction and it has needed redone for a long time. And I think there were just opportunities to infuse them into other attractions that they are essential to the park. I mean, if we lost Rock and Roller Coaster or whatever the incarnation of whatever this will be, that would be a huge blow. And this probably not so much. So I'm glad that we were able to do that. And I'm just looking forward to that whole concept. I think Toy Story Land's awesomely popular for many different reasons. And I think there's a whole opportunity for Monsters Inc. to do the same thing. So I'm looking forward to that.
All right. We got a question from Zeebs over in the Discord. Matt Z says, taking a 3-night trip in November, currently booked at Port Orleans Riverside, but debating on switching to Caribbean Beach Resort. I do plan on visiting Epcot, so the Skyliner would be nice, but I also want to do the boat to Disney Springs. What do you think I should do? Stay at Riverside or switch to Caribbean Beach? Any other pros or cons? Also going to Animal Kingdom. Can't have it all. That's a tough call. Because I mean, there's pros and cons, and that's exactly it. I mean, you're gonna get the Skyliner's gonna get you to Epcot so easy from Caribbean Beach. Remember, Caribbean Beach, you're gonna have the option to dine over at the Riviera, so that's nice. Because I do like Primo Piatto for that quick service option over there. It's very easy to get to. And you got, good dining over there. I prefer the rooms at Riverside, probably. Yeah, they're probably a wash, I'd say. Maybe it's a wash. They're probably about the same. I'm trying to think.
At Riverside, you have the sister resort of French Quarter.
Yeah.
So you essentially have all the pools at Riverside, including the main pool. And then there's a number of quiet pools. And then you also have the pool over at French Quarter as well. And you have that food court as well. You know what I mean? Because you're within walking distance, that will be an easy one to go to as well. I'd say location, they're fairly the same, with I wouldn't put one over another for location.
Yeah, so I would look and say, like, you're going to go to Epcot more, like you're going to Epcot 3 times, Disney Springs once, and which theme kind of hits you more? Because I'd say it's kind of 50-50 on this. I can't come up with one or the other.
Agreed.
Ricky, what do you say? I'd go with just if he's at Riverside, you picked it for a reason first, I might just stick with it.
I think that's what I would do too. I would just stick with Riverside. Taking the bus is fun. So there's nothing wrong with the bus. I love taking a Disney bus. There's just something about it. So I don't think you're losing out. And if you really want to go on the Skyliner, take a trip along, take a loop around the Skyliner. I feel like that would be a good compromise in that regard. But I mean, I don't think you have a wrong choice here either. But I might stick with Port Orleans just because I'm already there.
All right. I think we have one last question, and actually it says for listener questions, although not actually a questions. Hey, Mike, Diana from Connecticut here. I've called in a couple of times and did a trip report once. I listen to you every week. I never miss a show. Listening to your podcast is truly such a joy in my life. Thanks for all you do. Thank you so much. I just wanted to write to share a little Disney story with you and the Be Our Guest podcast crew and community. On January 1st of this year, my mom sent me a reel by Disney Food Blog on Instagram titled, "Which Disney Resort Are You Staying At in 2025?" The reel scrolls through each of the Walt Disney World resorts at lightning speed, and you have to pause your screen to reveal your answer. My mom's comment along with this video reel was, "I got Coronado Springs." So, of course, I tried my luck, and would you believe I landed on Coronado Springs as well? I responded, "I got Coronado. What are the chances?" To which my mom replied, must be a sign. So as any true Walt Disney World fan would do, we packed our bags and we flew to the most magical place on earth. We planned and executed a lightning trip to Walt Disney World, leaving on a flight on Friday, February 28th, and returned back home on Sunday, March 2nd. Some would say we're crazy for doing this. It's not exactly a stone's throw from us, but we didn't think it was crazy at all. When you both land on Coronado Springs, you make that trip happen. We had dinner at Toledo upon arrival. It was an outstanding meal and time, and spent the day on Saturday visiting all 4 parks. That was a first for me, and hats off to my mom for powering through, which is not exactly an easy feat considering her hip gives her a hard time, but it was so worth it. We picked our top 2 to 3 things at each park, ate at Sci-Fi for lunch, and Crêperie de Paris, look at that, I got it, for dinner, rode buses, the monorail and Skylighter, and finished off the day with Fantasmic. Something I thought was so cool and was not lost on me was that the very next weekend I saw that you had spent some time there with your own dad, Mike, and I thought to myself how lucky we are that we're able to share these moments with the people we love most. I'm sharing all this because as much as we love Disney World, I know that it is truly extra special when we share it with those who mean the most to us. I've had some personal things going on in my life that have been really challenging, but being in Disney World with my mom for a short weekend was a chance to hit the pause button on all that noise and enjoy the moment to the fullest, making memories I'll have forever. Although I've been fortunate enough to visit Walt Disney World many times before, this is a trip that I'll always remember as extra special, and it really meant so very much to me. Anyway, it didn't mean so much for this email to be lengthy, but I felt like this was a story I wanted to share with the podcast community, and especially with you. Thanks for all the joy you bring us, and keep spreading the magic, Diana. So how cool is that, though, that you got to go down? I mean, it's like, and I've seen those things, they have them like with the sports reels and, got to hit pause and see, what's your favorite football team or whatever. But, I'm glad that Diana took the time to write this, because when I read it, I'm like, that is super cool, because what it is that, this silly Disney fandom, we're talking about a trip in August of 2026, that the logistics of that, like Pam said, could change 19 times between here and there as to how the Magic Kingdom does rope drop. But what it does in the big picture is it brings people together. Scott and I talk about things that change. We talk about every little news nugget about it. Us three, all four of us talk about it. And we talk about it as a community. And what it gives us is a chance to come together and talk about something we love. And when you get to travel to Walt Disney World or cruise together or what have you, go to Disneyland together, you make memories that you'll talk about, on the trip. You have a great time together. But then what happens is if you go on the trip in July, that Thanksgiving, when you're sitting around the table eating the turkey, inevitably you're going to bring up 5 crazy stories from that trip and laugh about it. Remember when, oh my gosh, we couldn't get into Sci-Fi because they kicked us out because they blah, 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 wouldn't listen. You have those memories forever. So Pam, I love hearing stories like this. Diana and her mom just hopping up and 4 parks in a day, Coronado, Sci-Fi. I mean, that's what it's all about, really. I mean, that's what it all boils down to.
I think, every now and then the universe sort of sends you something that prods you into maybe making an extra trip or extending the one you have planned or taking advantage of something like this. And every time people are like, oh gosh, you're going again. I think, yeah, I have something I'm looking forward to for each trip. I mean, these are the things that I never regret spending money on. They just, travel is never, I never come home and say, oh, dang, I wish I hadn't spent money on that. Never. I just never do. I can do a lot of things. I can do without a lot of things, but it's these kind of trips that I can't. It's the memories are way too important. So I'm so glad she shared it too. It's a great memory for all of us.
Thank you so much for that. Because I can just kind of picture it all happening, like, bags packed, boom, landing at Coronado, pulling up to Grandestino, up at Toledo, having a dinner, and doing it up. I mean, Ricky, you had the same thing, but I mean, like when I was there with my dad, he was not a theme park dude, but I mean, I got to ride the Skyliner with him, the monorail. Like, dude, he loved Beaches and Cream, and lucky enough, we got to sit at the counter, and he had the seat right next to the jukebox. I mean,
I've
I
had
didn't
that
even ask
seat
for it. I know, but I mean, how lucky was it that we got those 2 seats? Like, dude, he was in heaven. I mean, my old man.
I'm sure he was.
And his penny loafers. I mean, dude, he walked 6 miles that day in penny loafers. I almost killed him. I know.
That's all right. Yeah, that's right.
It's a good thing.
No, it is. Yeah, it's fine. No, I mean, those memories that you have, I think with, those family members that are, they like you said, they're the ones that are gonna live with you forever. I still am so thankful that we got to take my grandmother before she passed away. I mean, literally weeks before she passed away. The memories I had. I mean, there are pictures on my, in my hallway, And they're from that trip of my grandma. You know, she's sitting there in her wheelchair holding a beer because she wanted a beer at the Magic Kingdom. And at that time, we were like, Grandma, the Magic Kingdom doesn't sell beer. So
Bud
then we went to
Light. She's from
Epcot
St.
and
Louis.
got her a beer. You know, she had to have a Bud Light. We
Yep.
found her a Bud Light. Like that, you know, like, but you know, there's those things, there's, you know, and sitting there watching Carousel of Progress with her and knowing that she lived through a lot of it, you know, and got to experience that and talking to her about it, and watching her play Buzz Lightyear with such intensity, you know, like those are the things that like live with me, and you know, they're the memories that I carry on forever. You know, getting to take Lucy for the first time with my whole entire family, and granted that trip didn't necessarily go the way I'd hoped it would, but the trip that was a whole other thing. But the trip, the parts that were great were the parts that I will cherish forever. You know, taking Lucy on It's a Small World for the first time with my family surrounding me at the Magic Kingdom. Like that was a dream I'd always had. Like, you know, getting to take my daughter with my entire family, that was the dream. And then you know, going to Chef Mickey's, where you know we Brian and I got engaged and we got to take our daughter to the same restaurant, which was so cool to me, you know, to be able to do that. And then I have another trip that really sticks out to me that I'm so thankful that I have is, and this was this was really early on in my Disney like obsession. It was back in 2003, and I was really just getting started with the whole Disney obsession. And my dad and I were actually photographing a wedding in Fort Myers, Florida, and he screwed up and he accidentally he booked the wrong day. We thought we were flying back on maybe, I guess it was a Saturday, but or Sunday, but we were actually flying back on a Monday. And so when he figured that out, we had a whole extra day to, like, you know, we didn't have anything to do. So we drove up to, you know, the Magic Kingdom. We bought a 1-day ticket, and I got to take my dad to the Magic Kingdom, and he got to see, you know, the start of my love of my, you know, so like those are the things that live with me, you know, like those kind of memories. So those memories that you get to take with your family, and really, you know, and even friends. I mean, obviously I have such great memories with all of you, and, you know, other people that have come into my life because of the podcast, and but those are the things that stick with me. Those are, like Pam said, those are the reasons I go back. You know, I go back to have those memories, those encounters, those experiences, and that's what I do it for. And, you know, to do something different every time too. But, you know, that's what I go back for. So I get it. I'm so glad she had that trip with her mom, though. That's what it's all about. I'm not gonna lie. That's what it's all about.
100%. Take that trip with the loved ones, though, man. It is fun. I mean, my dad got a kick out of riding the
You'll
Skyliner.
never regret it. Just like,
Yeah.
you know, just like Pam said.
Yeah.
So
To be just sitting down at a meal. Like he said, Olivia's was the best meal he had in a year. And I mean, my dad
Yeah.
goes to all these NFL, you know, meals with the teams and stuff. And I mean, they go to fancy places. But he's like me, you know, the just basic. I tell him it's like a fancy Cracker Barrel, kind of. That's why it's how I describe. He's like, "Where are we going?" I'm like, "Just trust me, you'll like it. It's got good chicken." And so we're like very much. Anyway, we are going to get out of here. And if you have a question, though, drop it into the inbox. Boom. It'll be on the show. Mike at beourguestpodcast.com. Just put listener question in the header, and right there, we'll get it on the air for you. Also, drop by Monday afternoons. We record the show around 5:30 Eastern-ish, and you can just subscribe to the show right there on YouTube, the channel. It's the Be Our Guest Podcast on YouTube or Facebook. You'll get a notification when we go live, and you can join in on the fun. It's always fun to join us live because, you know, you never know what we'll talk about in the pre-show. Subway sometimes, and who knows, all kinds of stuff. So come on over. We love having you here, but don't forget our podcast is always brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you get to your favorite Disney destination, whether it's Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, even Adventures by Disney. And the best part, no additional cost to you, first class concierge level service each and every time. Check out all the details today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. That one extra click supports everything we do throughout the year. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you so very much to our Patreon supporters. You're our all-stars. You make all this happen. You can support us as well for just $5 a month. And for that support, you get a bonus show every week called Mike in the Midwest. It's a fun show. Come on over this week. We'd love to have you. Patreon.com/beourguestpodcast. You can give us all a follow on the socials. I'm at Be Our Guest Mike. Ricky's at Ricky Nibs. Pam's at TMFLT Pam. That's Instagram, Twitter, and Threads. And of course, join us in the Be Our Guest Podcast Clubhouse. It's free. It's open for everybody. It's so much fun. We hang out there all the time. Check us out at beourguestpodcast.com/clubhouse. And finally, the live call-in show. We called Scott in Hawaii last Sunday night. He was at a place called Duke's, and he was getting served the most awesome dessert in the world during the call. I almost had to hang up on the guy because then he texted me how good the dessert looked. It was like a mini baked Alaska. Oh my gosh, he's living the best life. But I mean, we take your calls, you call in, we talk about anything you want. It's the open line. So join us Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, or Twitch. Wherever you want to join us, that's where we'll be. Give us a call and let's talk Disney Sunday night. Be there. All right, we'll be back again on Friday talking Disney After Dark. It's going to be fun. So for Pam and Ricky, I'm Mike, wishing you a great Wednesday. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon.
You've been listening to the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. If you have questions, comments, or would like to be a guest on the show, please visit our website at beourguestpodcast.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you real soon.